During the Summer Game Fest, there was a demo of Sparking Zero featuring 50 characters and 9 playable stages. I couldn't attend the fest and play the demo myself, but many of your favorite creators did, and thanks to them, we have a lot of footage to discuss and break down. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the breakdown. There's so much stuff to talk about that I don't even know where to begin. So let's start off with one of the most broken characters from the previous Tenkaichi games, Mr. Satan. Remember the whole flying via jetpack gimmick he had in the previous games? Guess what? He doesn't have it anymore. So how does he fly then? You see, that's the best part. He doesn't. Before we continue with Mr. Satan's breakdown, I want to clarify that just because Mr. Satan can fly in Sparking Zero, it doesn't mean flying is off limits for all characters who can properly utilize flight, such as Kid Goku, Roshi, and a few others. He can still jump infinitely, though he just can't fly. As to why they removed both his jetpack and his ability to fly entirely, I have no idea. On the bright side, he did get some cool upgrades. No more will Mr. Satan be forced to charge his ki with an invisible aura. Behold, the Mr. Satan show. The devs came up with the most brilliant idea to solve his invisible aura issue. Rather than not displaying any aura during charging due to his lack of ki control, the devs gave him a stage spotlight, showering him with confetti instead of lightning effects. And get this, whenever a character is charging their second half, their stance changes and their aura expands. For example, we have Super Saiyan Goku mid who does the whole I'm angry pose, but with Mr. Satan, they just kinda turn up the lights even more to mimic the explosive aura burst that characters typically get. Really appreciate all the cheeky details they included with Mr. Satan. Explosive waves are back, and they still consume a single point of the skill gauge. During the same battle, we see Boo getting smacked to the ground outside of the ring, but he wasn't eliminated. That's a bit strange. Perhaps the elimination mechanic was disabled during the demo? You can still do this thing. Mr. Satan's explosive surprise is now a super rush attack, whereas before it was a super move but not a rush type super move. You kind of had to time it for when your opponent was within reach. Dynamic mess up combo is still left to chance, and unfortunately for Mr. Satan, luck wasn't on his side during this battle. But if the odds are in your favor, this will happen. Trunks did a final flash while in max power, which is a super, not an ultimate move. And as many of you may know now, doing any kind of super attacks while in max power would immediately knock you out of the max power state. But in Sparking Zero, even if you do a super move while in max power, or Sparking as it's called now, you still remain in the max power state even though your ki bar was decreased by the cost of the super, which in this case was 3, meaning that unlike BT3, we are able to launch a super attack and immediately after an ultimate. Again, it's just a speculation. I don't think I've seen anyone try this so far. Logically, it would make sense, but I guess we still need some confirmation. I saw the first instance of a guard crash in Globku's video. Krillin was holding a neutral guard while God Vegeta was doing an upwards heavy smash, which naturally caused a guard break. It appears to be one-to-one with how it looks and functions in Tenkaichi 3. Even the animation is identical. Additionally, it appears that being guard broken with less than 1 ki bar causes you to enter a fatigued state. In this state, you need to mash a button to regain the first ki bar and break free from fatigue. It's a bit different from Tenkaichi 3 where you had to charge up 2 ki bars before you could regain control of your character. Now, if Krillin did a down guard, it would be Vegeta who got staggered. I assume something similar would happen in Sparking Zero. I say assume because I haven't seen a single instance of it happening in SZ. Never mind, just found it in a different gameplay scene. And yes, it looks and works the same. This attack Vegeta did with the whole impact frame thingy looks a bit like the rush-in attack from BT3. A rush-in attack was basically an extender to your combos. You press the punch button 5 times, then X, followed by the punch button again, with the added bonus of choosing the direction from which you want the attack to come, up, down, or neutral. The down punch attack looks identical to the one from Sparking Zero. Both attacks also feature those little on-screen effects, so I don't know. It could also be something as basic as just slightly holding the down smash attack. Without having to play the game, it's kinda hard to tell. While watching Syriax's gameplay, I immediately noticed something familiar. I think most of you have performed this attack at least once while playing with Vegeta and never knew the name of it. Well, I didn't know its name either until I looked it up for this video. It's called Rush Key Wave, and you perform it by pressing the punch button 4 times, then holding the key button for as long as you want to charge it. Z Broly had it in BT3 as well, so it's pretty cool that Super Broly also has it. And of course, they didn't forget about Broly's super armor. Although in Sparking Zero, Vegeta manages to stagger Broly on his 3rd hit, whereas BT3 Vegeta needs 4 hits. Maybe they nerfed it a tiny bit for a somewhat balanced online experience? The hair physics are on full display here. Glad to see that these attacks are also back. Again, most of you have performed them without knowing their names. They're called heavy finish attacks. Also, just realized a really cool detail. You know how certain characters regenerate their health whenever they transform? Well, I'm happy to say that this feature is back. Broly's full power transformation now replenishes roughly 70% of a single health bar. Even cooler is the fact that this exact same thing happens when you transform into Legendary Super Saiyan in BT3. Vegeta's Kiai cannon combo is back. It looks a bit different than it does in BT3, but the combo string is identical. 3 presses of the square button plus a chargeable key button for how far you want the Kiai cannon to push the opponent back. Let's take this scene of Vegeta shooting the final flash. See how the blast curves slightly near the end? I think it's implemented primarily to assist with tracking the opponent. Most of these super and ultimate blast attacks were relatively easy to dodge and punish in Tenkaichi 3, so I guess this was their way of slightly buffing them up. And honestly, that's a really cool idea. We haven't seen something like this in any of the previous Tenkaichi games, but we did see it in a very underrated PS2 game, Super Dragon Ball Z. Ever since I saw Krillin defeat the Cybermen with the scattering bullet technique, I've been a big fan of these blast bending moves. So I'm very curious to see how they'll work exactly in Sparking Zero. Also, the final flash didn't actually connect with Frieza. He dodged it. This means that for the first time since Tenkaichi 2, ultimate attacks will be able to blow up a planet even if the opponent manages to dodge them. If you want to learn more about this feature in BT2, you can check out this video. The way it works there is kind of bizarre. More and more combos from BT3 are coming back. Syriax starts the combo off with an aerial barrage. Now, the funny thing is, Majin Vegeta doesn't have an aerial barrage in his moveset in the original games. Fortunately for us, many other characters do. So let's use Goku as an example. After a ground slash hit, simply press up together with the key button, followed immediately by the punch button. And to make things more understandable to people who are new to the series or just haven't played the game in ages, ground slash hit is basically this. It's a combo extending move and can be used at any point during a combo, making your playstyle less predictable. So after Syriax sends the opponent flying via aerial barrage, he quickly follows up with a dragon dash and a leftward heavy smash, followed by a vanishing attack, culminating in another vanishing type move that slams the opponent into the ground. Now, this was my all-time favorite combo to perform. Not the aerial barrage, just the dashing part. And I can tell you how glad I am to see stuff like this returning in Sparking Zero. Also, did you guys notice that Vegeta has a little special animation during the ground slam attack portion? This is definitely something that did not exist before. After reviewing some other gameplay footage, I still couldn't find anyone else performing this combo. I believe most other characters also have it, but I can't confirm anything at the moment due to a lack of footage. The air combo also seemed to have been faithfully recreated. They appear to follow the same combo strings, given that Mr. Doya mainly relied on his knowledge from BT3 for gameplay. And as expected, last resort techniques are back. We see Vegeta performing the final explosion, which leaves him with just a tiny sliver of health, same as it did Well, you get it by now. They appear to have made two different face models for Z Vegeta and Vegeta Super. Pretty neat attention to detail actually. Instant transmission looks really good this time around. Although I'm curious, based on the footage we see here, it seems that instant transmission can't be interrupted once initiated. This would make an already decent utility move even better. Moreover, it costs 2 skill points in Sparking Zero, compared to BT3's 3-point cost. Also, here's what an interrupted instant transmission looks like in Tenkaichi 3. Instant transmission is not the only utility move that's returning. We have Solar Flare, Wild Sense, Finish Sign, Explosive Wave, Power Up to the Very Limit, and probably many more that have yet to be revealed. Also, let's take a moment to appreciate how good Solar Flare looks in this game. Wait a minute. How is Trunks using...
Well, actually, if you read the manga, you would have known Trunks used against Black and...
Shut the fuck up. I think I can explain it.
Wait. Manga? A manga-exclusive technique? That's right, fellas. This game is going to introduce manga-exclusive techniques. There's also Goku Black's binding technique and Vegeta's Gamma Burst Flash. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is there any chance for manga-exclusive characters like Moro, Gas, or heck, Ultra Ego? It seems highly unlikely, but the fact we got manga-exclusive moves is definitely a step in the right direction. I know the Super Dragon Ball Heroes game that's on Steam has some manga-exclusive moves, but definitely no manga-exclusive characters as far as I'm aware. In any case, fingers crossed I guess. For the first time ever, we have grab clashes. In Tenkaichi 3, if two characters attempt to grab each other at the same time, their grabs simply cancel each other out. However, in Sparking Zero, well, you don't have to spin your analogs anymore, but you do have to time your first input, after which a button mashing minigame will commence. There's also a boost button, which I assume is used to increase your damage if you win. You don't have to break your controller anymore, but you still have to mash, so it's kinda pick your poison kinda deal. Forget what I said earlier. Analog spinning minigames are also making a comeback. I guess things haven't changed that much after all. Are his attacks actually shattering the dimension? Oh wait, no, it's just a map barrier. Instead of relying on stock moves like the Full Power Energy Wave or the Super Energy Blast Volley, the devs actually made some real unique moves. Super Saiyan 2 Goku was a character that was filled with stock moves. The only unique thing he had was Meteor Crash, and even that move wasn't entirely unique since he shared it with his base form. But in Sparking Zero, yeah, I'll just let the footage speak for itself. Look familiar? It's the exact same move he did against Kid Buu. And what about this? A move from a very obscure fight during the Tournament of Power. Or this one, the Super Twin Dragon Fist attack he used against Janemba in his first form. Huge props to the developers for going out of their way to animate these moments into some truly badass supers and ultimates instead of relying on stock techniques. Remember how your outfit would sustain battle damage if you lost a beam struggle or got hit by a powerful enough ultimate? Well, Sparking Zero does that as well, but on a whole different level. You see, instead of having one stage of battle damage, this game has 3. The first stage consists of dirt and slight bruises, while the second stage shows actual battle damage, and the third stage completely destroys the outfit. Majin Buu's Chocolate Beam Rush is no longer a super move. They turned it into a Blast 1 utility technique. It seems to paralyze a target for a few moments, but unfortunately, it doesn't turn them into chocolate. It functions similarly to something like Frieza's Psychokinesis Blast 1. Android characters still rely on the game to handle the charging for them. Also, check out the size difference between the two same techniques. Great Apes still don't react to attacks from characters below a certain power threshold. I don't know if the threshold is still at Super Saiyan 3 level of power, like in previous games. I know Gogeta can break their super armor, but apparently 17 isn't strong enough. And of course, Giants are still unable to be targeted for rush-type super moves. Now, there were some exceptions to this rule in BT3, most notably Goku's Dragon Fist. Unfortunately, no one seemed to test it during their playthrough, so we can't be sure if certain attacks like Dragon Fist are able to function against Giants. Considering how big they actually are in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't work anymore. Kid Gohan's grab is a 1-to-1 to BT3, although it does push the opponent further away. Dodo spammed the recovery button, which is why it seemed like it didn't push Android 17 far enough. The thing is, you wouldn't be able to spam the keep button to recover from these types of throws in the first place. As you can see, there's no recovery button prompt. I'm spamming my heart out, but it doesn't change anything. It's because many of the throws in BT3, Kid Gohan's throw included, use a completely different knockback animation compared to those in Sparking Zero. Sparking Zero seems to have replaced these knockbacks with one similar to those triggered when hit by a heavy smash, for instance. While not a significant change, this could potentially introduce new possibilities for certain interactions that were previously unavailable. Do you remember that thing you could use to break out of a combo at the cost of roughly half a health bar? It's called an emergency blaster wave. And yes, I only found out about that name now. The first time I saw players doing this speedy recover thing, I thought they were using the emergency blaster wave. I mean, the moves do look quite similar. However, as soon as I realized that it doesn't consume a single drop of health and everyone was spamming it each time they got knocked back, I knew it was something else. What is it exactly, I hear you ask? To be honest, it's nothing more than a simple flashy recovery animation. They weren't lying about being faithful to the original games because they made you charge slower while being underwater. Android 17 has something similar to Vegeta's Final Explosion, but unlike the Final Explosion and the rest of the Last Resort techniques, 17's Barrier Explosion doesn't leave you with a drop of HP, and he still manages to output decent damage. No wonder he's the MVP of the Tournament of Power. Blue Goku and Golden Frieza share the same super attack, the no hard feelings hit, and there's a really good reason behind it. Remember that brief match Goku and Frieza had during the recruitment process? Yep. It's a callback to that scene. You see that pose Beerus is constantly doing? I think that's supposed to be the auto counter mechanic. Auto counter is a move that you could perform by pressing and holding the guard button after attacking. You enter the counter stance, and if the opponent hits you while in that stance, you do an automatic counter attack. Right after Vegeta's attack connected, Beerus swiftly followed up with a divine flick to the forehead. Gogeta's Stardust Blaster is your typical homing super rush attack, but there's something really strange about it. Take a look at the way it tracks the opponent. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels very stiff, robotic, and extremely fast. I know all the Kid Buu mains are gonna like this change. Previously, we could also control the trajectory of the rush. This allowed you to easily sneak behind the opponent if you wanted to. You see, rush attacks were fairly easy to block. However, with control over the rush movement, we could easily maneuver behind the opponent and catch them off guard. Even if they were holding the guard button, your rush would still connect. When attacking from behind, the opponent's guard becomes essentially useless. That's why I'm wondering if we can control it in Sparking Zero, because so far, I haven't seen anyone actually try it. Several characters were also indirectly revealed thanks to this demo. We have Android 20, Chaozu, Zarbon, Kid Goku, Ultimate Gohan, Saibaman, and Spopovich. Split screen has been finally revealed, although with a catch. As I speculated in my previous video, it does in fact only work on the hyperbolic time chamber stage. They also revealed that this was a last-minute decision implemented due to fan feedback. The way they designed the game with all those fancy effects and destruction doesn't work well with split screen. Overall, I can respect that. It's certainly better than not having it at all. And yeah, this was a long one, and gathering all the info was quite stressful, I must say. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.